And we should be live again.
We're back.
We are back. So for all the people that were listening to us before, hang on a second. Okay, is also Facebook now is connected. So just to sum it up again, so we were having a conversation, Anita and I, just 5 minutes ago. Unfortunately, internet decided not to like us today, which is absolutely fine. But Anita was basically sharing a story that 1 year ago she came to me. We booked in a session, and she told me that she thought that she had perimenopause because she was not getting her period. And we were having a conversation around the fact that you didn't have a cycle for 3.5 years that you are aware of, but you were on a pill for a much longer time. So possibly you didn't have a regular menstrual cycle for almost 10 years of your life. And when I met you, you were coming out of a period where you are training daily for even a couple of hours a day. You are undernourishing your body, and you're obsessed with food and with exercise thoughts and food thoughts. So you actually mentioned before that you didn't have any brain space to focus on anything else. And you have 2 kids, you have 2 stepsons, you have a family, you have a business. I mean, you have a job as well. So it's not that you're like someone that can sit around and think, do nothing. You're always on the move. So it wasn't only the exercise and the food, but also the rest of your life that was possibly causing some extra stress. Would you agree with all the things that I've just said, or
Yeah,
would you like
crazy.
to add?
It's crazy when you put it like that, but yeah, I guess that sums it all up.
Yeah, exactly. Don't worry about me. Just sum up 5 years of your life. No, I'm just kidding. There is so much more to that, but exercise and food obsession was a real problem for you, which is possibly the reason because you lost your menstrual cycle. So let's get started on how you healed your hormones, because we had the first session and I remember that you cried quite a lot because you were feeling overwhelmed, but also very grateful that you were not in perimenopause. And what happened? So tell the women listening to us today, what are the first steps that you took? What changed in your mindset? And what really made the biggest difference in your journey?
So I worked extremely hard. I went through every single emotion known to mankind. I really challenged everything. Like worked really closely with yourself. And yeah, like I tried to, like, first of all, I cut back on exercise. I know that I was absolutely petrified originally to start and to stop it completely. So I cut back quite slowly, but obviously I wasn't getting the results that I was hoping for. So then I cut back more and more, and I just progressively did that until I completely cut it out altogether. I worked really hard on my mindset. So Jade was really great with that. And I know you're really good with really challenging my thoughts with that during the start. And just, giving me different things to think about and giving me different ways to think about things. Yeah, look, it's hard to sum it up because it was such a like I can't even really think back now. It was so intense, the journey. I worked really closely with Nicola Rinaldi as well, and she was really helpful. And I guess just really listening to my body, and when I needed the sleep, have the sleep. When I needed, when I needed to cry, I allowed myself to cry. Just realizing that being skinny and being a certain weight that didn't make who I was, and it didn't make me good at my job, or it didn't make me a good mom. If anything, it made me worse at those things because I had no brain space. So it was just getting my head around all those things and eventually accepting that I had to gain the weight. And I think for me, the biggest thing was the anxiety around gaining the weight, and that, really held me back because my mind was so preoccupied every single day for the last 14 months. I've woken up and that's the first thing that I think about, and the last thing I think about when I go to sleep. And it's been so nice this last month or so to just, unwind from all that and have my life back.
If you don't mind, I would actually focus on your journey, so the in between, because normally we hear so much about how someone got into hypothalamic amenorrhea and all of a sudden what we hear is someone getting the period back. But we rarely talk about the in between, the struggle and the journey, that it's a roller coaster really, because one day you feel on top of the hill and then the next day you feel down in the dump. And I remember that you were part of the HA community at the beginning of 2021, right?
Correct.
Yeah, so the HA community, even before it became what the HA community is today. So we had like these weekly calls and it was a very small group of women. We were catching up and sometime, and you're amazing, by the way, because you used to join and it was like 5 o'clock in the morning, it was like crack of dawn and you're still there listening to the other women and sharing your story. And I remember the last month that you were really struggling because you did all the changes, or what you thought that were all the changes. You were increasing your food intake. You're not moving as much as you did in the past. You were not seeing results. And you got to a point where you were kind of challenging the recovery journey. Would you say that that's correct?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so like all those calls and working with all the supportive women, that was really, really great. And I loved jumping on. But, you know, I think it got to a point where I was so deflated every time I would see or read someone or, you know, be on a call and someone would be like, oh, I got my first period. Yeah, you know, like, and I was so happy for them, but at the same time, so gutted for myself because I had put in hard work. I had gained 12 plus kilos. I had done everything, you know, my whole lifestyle changed in that 12 months. And I wasn't getting what I was supposed to be getting. And I think it was really crushing and really hard to see that and to feel that. And I remember writing in my journal daily, you know, don't give up, don't give up. And especially on days when I had good days, like when I felt like some days I'd look in the mirror and I'd be like, oh, you know, yeah, it's fine. Like I'm okay. Like there's nothing wrong with how I look. It's fine. And those days I would write that in my journal, you know, remember today, this is how you felt. So that tomorrow when you feel like shit, you can look back on that and be, you know, like, okay, it's just a lull day today and I've just got to get through this lull day to get back into my good day. And yeah, so definitely like the journey was, it was hard. It was really hard, but so worth it.
I remember that your daughter was also a big motivator because you wanted to make sure that she would be brought up in an environment where the scale, dieting, and all of that wasn't even an issue, wasn't even a topic of conversation. So would you say that she was actually someone that helped you through the recovery journey without her even knowing?
Both my kids actually were huge motivators for me. My daughter, like I remember one time I was in the kitchen and she picked up an apple and she put it on the scales and she said, oh, look, Mum, this weighs this much. And, you know, it had nothing to her. It meant nothing to her. But to me, I was like, oh, my God, what have I done to her? Like, I can't believe that I've allowed her to see that. Like, that's exposed her to that. So that was a huge wake-up call for me. And also my son, I remember messaging you one day where I just, you know, hit the peak of, I can't do it anymore. It hurts too much. I'm at a weight that I've never seen before. You know, all these hard processes and all these hard thoughts were going through my mind. And I messaged you and I said, that's it, I'm done. You know, I think it was after my first ranitidine, which really messed with me emotionally. And yeah, once I had done that, that was it. I was done. I wasn't going to do it anymore. I was going to go back to my old lifestyle and I was going to, you know, lose a bit of the weight that I'd gained and, you know, move on with life. And I'd said to my kids, I was like, you know, that's it. I'm going to start swimming again. I'm going to get back into training. And my son, he looked at me and he said, Mum, you can't. And I said, what do you mean? Like, yes, I can. And he said, no, you can't, because what about your heart and what about this and what about that? You know, if you don't have your period, then you're not going to be healthy and you're not going to be able to swim with us forever. And, you know, he really hit home for me and he made me really challenge. So yeah, both my kids were huge motivators for me, and it's been amazing to be able to get back in the pool with them now, having my period back. And yeah, it's been great.
And I think that this is literally the first time that I cry online. First of all, because I've known you for quite a while and we got really attached to some point. I can remember that we were texting each other every single day. And secondly, because I am a mom as well. So
Yeah.
I know how our kids can be really amazing and they have no filters. So whatever they say, you know that it comes from pure, genuine love. So fantastic. So bring the tissues on. So why don't we switch gear and we talk about the day that you got your period? Because I remember your message and it could have not been a better message. It was like your personality in a nutshell. And I just love that. So do you want to share how was the day that you got your period?
Yeah, so I was actually at Dreamworld of all places. So that was really, it wasn't at like I think I had indicators like the day before when we were on our way to Dreamworld. I had like really light pink, and in all honesty, I kind of knew it was coming because I had all the ovulation signs as well. Like I had the egg white cervicalmucus, I had the positive OPKs, all those things, and I had never had any of those before. So I kind of expected it to come, but at the same time was so scared to have my hopes up and shattered. I've been shattered 100 times before. So, you know, the day before we were leaving, I went to the toilet and there was this tiny skerrick of pink, and I got really excited, but I didn't want to allow myself to get excited. And it wasn't until the morning that we were going to Dreamworld and I went to the toilet and it had got a little bit darker and it was like a little bit more brown, and I was like, oh, something's definitely happening, you know, but I just don't know what. And then we went to Dreamworld and we'd gone on a few rides, and I went to the toilet and came back out, and I remember saying, because my brother was there and my husband, and I was like, yes, it's happened, and you know, it's actually real, it's bright red, it's there, it's, you know, everything's really exciting. And my brother looked at me and he said, you know what, any other day I would turn to you and say that is absolutely disgusting. He said, but I know what you've been through, and I've been there, like, because he's a pharmacist, and so I've spoke to him throughout the whole process to look up medical literature and all those sorts of things. And yeah, so he's like, I'm really happy for you, and he gave me a big hug. My husband gave me a big hug, my kids gave me hugs, and yeah, it was just phenomenal. I was just, you know, everyone's always excited when you're at Dreamworld, but this was just extra exciting.
And to be honest, I've had my periods for quite a few years now, and it's quite spot on, very regular. So I'm really lucky on that regard. But whenever I get it, I don't know, it's like the best thing that can happen in any given day. Because when you lose it and you work so hard to get it back, all of a sudden you know how precious it is, knowing that your body can function optimally. Because as I said before, it's not only about getting your period back because you want to have kids, but it's also, as your son said, your heart and your bone health, your health in general. And also in your situation, back in the past, you took the Clomid, you took the soy isoflavones, so you tried it all. You took the supplements, and then you did it on your own. Your body healed by itself, which is amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, I actually stopped all of that because I just got to the point where I was sick of taking tablets every day, and
yeah.
I kind of made the decision. I went to my endocrinologist and she'd said to me, you know, just get on with life. You've gained the weight. You don't need to gain any more. You just need to just get on with life and stop thinking about it. And yeah, so I think the week before I ovulated, I actually got back in the pool and started swimming, and only very, very lightly, and only 3 days a week for half an hour, and just for my own mental health, because I was so caught up in the journey and the recovery process that my headspace was just constantly on overdrive. So
Absolutely. And I'm so happy that you had that endocrinologist, because you had another endocrinologist first that really didn't listen to your story. Then you found someone else that was so much better, and she gave you the best advice. And I remember that we also had a conversation about your diet, and you were saying, Claudia, do you think that I'm eating enough at this point? Because I would like to stop calorie count and just move into being an intuitive eater. And you were eating like a perfect, like consistent diet. And so you also gave up the calories tracking and all of that. And I think that simply unloading all of that from your brain possibly really give you the last push for your body to finally settle down and give you a bleed.
yeah, I think so. I hope, well, obviously something worked. So
something worked, and then now we're waiting for the second period. You had your OPK test done a few days ago, and it was positive, actually 3 times positive, as we shared before the beginning of the call. It was actually very funny because I woke up that morning and I saw what you posted on the HA community, and I saw the pea stick with a smiley face, and I was like, you never know if it's like ovulation or pregnancy. I didn't know how excited I had to be. But yeah,
I know that most people do this and go through this journey because that's the outcome that they want. But for me, I don't think I'd be excited if that was the outcome I received, because like I've said, I've got my 2 and I'm so blessed to have them. But yeah, my husband has had a vasectomy, so that would be very bad if I came back with a positive pregnancy test.
But that's beautiful that you're sharing that, because some of the women, when they join the program or when they decide to recover, they have this thought in mind, I don't want to have kids, so it's really not that important if I get my period back. And here you are to show that no, it's actually super important, and if you work to get it back, then magic happens. Now, I have one last question that I want to ask you, and obviously it slipped my mind. The reality is that I have to ask you 10 questions, but I know that I have to choose one. So how about that you share with us something that you would like women to listen to if they're starting this journey, going through the journey, or if they feel overwhelmed as you felt some way in your journey?
Look, if I could go back and start this whole journey again, I'd do it completely different. I would tell myself to not worry, to not worry about it. I was so worried and I had so much anxiety. I'd tell myself that not to try and do it half-heartedly, to just go all in, as they say, as I know that's Nicola's thing, all in. And I wish I could have just gone back and, instead of fighting the process and being so damn scared at the start, just said, right, I'm resting, I'm eating, I'm relaxing, I'm gonna do this, because I honestly think it would have taken me half the time if I did it that way. But who knows? I don't have a crystal ball and I don't know. But I think for me, I fought the process the whole way. I challenged the thoughts the whole way. So yeah, if I could give anyone the advice, it would be to just go all in and give it your all, and relax and enjoy it. Use that time to go out for dinner and go out for lunch and spend that time reconnecting with your loved ones, and know that it's going to be hard, but be prepared for those hard days, and have your journal and have, people close to you on call, and just enjoy the process. But it's easier said than done. No one's going to enjoy it, I know,
but it can be enjoyable, as you said. And I think that when I met you, you actually said something is very important. Instead of fighting the process, trust the process and go all in. But the reality is that possibly if you went all in straight away, you wouldn't be here now with a completely different mindset around food and exercise. You would have gotten your period back within 3 months, and then possibly, because we are hypothetically speaking, you could have gone back to training and without really working on the mindset. So maybe this is your journey, Anita. You had to go through the tough bits so that now you can really focus your brain on something else, that you can move on and have a different life.
I often think about that too. And I know definitely that if I was one of the lucky ones that got it back in 3 months, that I certainly would not be healed. My mind wouldn't be healed. And I, 100% couldn't agree more. But I'm grateful that it took so long, but at the same time, the pain and anguish.
No, I get that part. I get that part because, as you possibly know, and the people that have been following me for a while, it took me 5 years to have my first daughter when I first recovered from HA, simply because I didn't have the heart of doing the things that needed to be done. Yeah. And last thing, do you think that having some sort of support like Nicola, Jade, endocrinologist made a difference? Or because I hear lots of women that want to do it on their own, would you encourage them to try it on their own, or would you say that having some sort of support was really helpful for you?
there's no way I would have done it on my own. Like having someone to answer to, having someone to talk to, having someone to bounce ideas off, or just listen to me when I needed to cry. Like I have made so many friends along the way by joining, you know, the HA community and Nicola's Facebook page, and every method of thing that I joined, I've made different friends along the way. So 100%, I don't know anyone that could possibly do this journey alone and do it properly. Not properly, I guess everyone's journey is different, but do it fully and you know, regain the cycle and keep the cycle and regain the mindset. I think all of it comes hand in hand, and it's really important to do that alongside someone for support.
Yeah, because it's not about only eating more and exercising less. It's actually the mindset that requires a little bit of help and support and guidance. And it was very beautiful to see when you posted it on the HA community. You said, I got my period back. And everyone was like, Anita, yeah! Everyone was so incredibly stoked, even though half of them are still working actively to get the period back. But I could see they were genuinely, oh my God, it's too much of a mouthful for me.
Yeah.
Excited about that, because you shared, you supported, and you were there for them, and all of a sudden they were there for you. And as you said, you made friends, which is something that possibly we take for granted, but you can make friends while you're going through this journey. Absolutely. Which is priceless.
How many women in the HA community are getting together, like, you know, the girls that are close. I think it's amazing because no one gets this journey other than other people that have gone through it. Like no one. My mum, I try to ring her crying so many times and she's like, what are you crying about? Who cares? You haven't got a period. Who cares? People would be excited about that. Like no one gets it.
No one gets it. And being part of a community is like entering a room, entering a party where everyone already knows the story. You just have to start talking, and makes life so much easier.
Yeah.
Anyway,
so similar. Everyone's been there and everyone's felt it. You know exactly what you're going through.
And I think that I've been very lucky also because I've seen that women that are part of the community, they've all been absolutely lovely and supportive. And I cannot have asked for better people to work with. It's been a blessing. We have talked for a long time. I know that it's your lunch break, so possibly you have stuff to do and maybe some lunch to make. So thank you for being here with us, Anita. I'm sure that the women are gonna love listening to your story. Thank for your words of encouragement. Thanks for being part of the group and always commenting on people, because sometimes I don't comment, but I see what you post, and that's priceless, seriously. And thank you for also being so raw and sharing what you went through, because someone is gonna listen to your words and is gonna say, cool, Anita did it, so I'm gonna stick around and do it too. So thank you about that.
So, but yeah, once again, thank you to you and everything that you've done for me. I can't thank you enough for essentially saving my life. So yeah, thank you to you Jade. Well, you got me out of such a rut. And I remember swimming one morning when I was right in the depth of it, thinking to myself, like, I want to be able to not do this anymore, but I don't know how, you know, like, and that was before I even found out about it. And I didn't know how to get out, and you helped me get out. So it means a lot. So thank you.
A virtual hug, my love. One day I will make it to Queensland, because the past 2 years have been quite difficult in terms of flying and traveling. But one day I'm going to come for that hug.
That sounds amazing.
Okay, big kiss goodbye to Anita.